All right, guys, so today we're going to make a roast chook. But what we're actually going to do once we've cooked the chook and we've eaten the meat off it, we're going to turn the carcass into chicken stock, chicken broth. And it's going to be a delicious chicken broth that you can cook with, drink by itself. It's very tasty. But let's get to roasting the chook first. What we're going to do is we've got a whole chook here, okay? I've laid out 2-3 onions on a tray, touch of white wine and chicken stock if you have it, just to put a bit of moisture in the bottom. You could just use white wine and a bit of water if you need to. Add some garlic onto the tray as well, whatever you want really for flavor. I'm just using onions today. What we need to do is make a rub though. So we've got a rub. We've got basically the rub, you're going to freestyle it with as much butter as you need. We want to make a paste, so it's going to be quite thick. We've got salt, pepper. We've got one whole we've shaved off a bunch of lemon, right? So we've got lemon zest, like a whole lemon zest. We've grated the lemon zest. We've got salt, pepper. Also, we're going to have some thyme, some rosemary. What else do we have in there? We've got oregano, and basically you can have anything in there that you want, like mixed herbs. If you don't have herbs in the garden like I've used, go for a bunch of dried mixed herbs or dried parsley, oregano, rosemary, whatever you want. But we want to make the rub, okay? So mix all the stuff that you're using for flavor. I'll have a list in the description, of course, of what I've used. Now we've got to make sure we mix all that butter up before we rub it into the chicken. All right, so rub's done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to rub it underneath the skin, between the meat and the skin of the chicken. So if you don't know about this, I've recently learnt it when I started doing these, is you have to stick your finger in kind of like where the neck, where the head would have been, and you can stick your finger through, and there's going to be some space down near the chicken breast and leg where you can start to put the rub. And if you come over this side, you can see, for me, I haven't broken through there. So just being careful, pushing that finger through, and then it kind of opens up and you can start to create some space there. You really want to do this if you want your chicken to be more flavorful, because all the rub and the herbs and the spices, everything's going to stay in there. If you rub it on top of the skin, it's just going to kind of like melt off as it cooks, right? So let's put some rub all the way in there. Now, another thing you can do is you can do stuffing. I'm not doing any stuffing, but what I've done is I've shoved like half an apple in the carcass just for added flavor. You could chuck like a half an onion, a bunch of onion and garlic and rosemary, right? You can do anything you want. I'm just taking you through my version, but you can put the different flavors as you please. The main thing here is showing you men that it's fairly easy to cook a delicious roast meal, roast chicken. And what you can do with that carcass is turn it into bone broth, which you can continually use as well. So you're using the whole animal, right? You're not really wasting anything. A little bit of preparation, probably take you 10 minutes to get everything prepared, maybe a bit longer. We'll be chucking in the oven for about an hour and a half, but I'll run through that when we get to it. Good, making sure you use all of the rub. It's going to get messy, so put some gloves on. All right, and obviously you're going to have bits and pieces left over, so just add that to the skin, see what happens. All right, that's good to go. So what I'm going to do now is place that on top of the onion, or the bed of onion and garlic. Remember, I've got some white wine in there and a little bit of chicken stock already. You could just use some white wine and water. And then we're good to go. We're going to put it in the oven soon. All right, guys, so we're going to put the chicken in the oven. We've preheated the oven to 220. We're going to get that hot. Make sure it's nice and hot. You preheated the oven. We're putting it in for 10 minutes at 220. Then we're going to turn it down for 180 and cook it for an hour and a half. We're going to try and remember to baste it as we go. And then we're going to probably check it, 15 minutes before we take it out, just to double check that it's on track. So we're going in for 10 minutes now. Then we turn it down to 180 and we cook it for an hour and a half. All right, guys, remember, drop it down to 180 degrees. It's been in for 10 minutes. Drop it from 220 to 180, cooking for an hour and a half. All right, guys, so we've got 15 minutes left. It's looking good. We want to make sure we are basting it regularly. I've done this twice already, maybe every half hour or twice within the period of cooking, within that hour and a half. Keep it nice and moist. We're going to go for another 15 minutes. Looking good. All right, guys, finished product. I'm going to attempt to put it onto the chopping board and carve it up. Okay, so we've got our onions under there looking nice and crisp. The skin's looking good. If you hear anything in the background, it's just my son. Let's see how we go picking this up. Okay. And we'll start to carve it up and see what it looks like. Juicy, that's for sure. Now that it's cooked, we are going to do some veggies. You do whatever you want, right? We're just going to do some pumpkin and broccoli. So the next video, though, is going to be the carcass being turned into a bone broth, okay? So you'll have to stay tuned for that one, but this is looking excellent. And yeah, we're good to go. We're going to eat soon.